Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our Vanilla Minecraft series once again, and obviously today we're going to want to work on our melon and pumpkin farm situation that we were talking about last time. Still trying to work out some of the details on that, but we'll get back to it momentarily. First thing though, I did in between episodes work a little bit more on our villager stuff, mostly just taking care of some of the little minor problems that I brought up last time. So I cleaned up out front here. There was a bunch of shulker boxes and whatnot going on, so got rid of all of that. We do still have these two guys lingering here, these two farmer villagers. These will eventually go into automated farm systems to help supply our trading. So they're lingering around here until we get to that, but they'll be fine. The rest of our villagers, though, all of the ones inside of our system, have all been named and organized into specific columns, and they've also been identified with the little item filter... Item filter? Item frames. That's the word I was looking for. Item frames with the items inside of it. So this set right here, for example, this column of villagers, I know that unbreaking and mending are the two main traits from it. So our mending villager's in here right now. And he's represented by this bottle of enchanting. The other guy, the unbreaking guy, is represented by this anvil. So you can see now we have our unbreaking 3 villager in here. Little pricey, but until we get a better one, he will do just fine. So, that is our villager setup. There are certain villagers on the other side now, as you can see. Like I said before, I've organized them kind of based on how useful they're going to be. So, unbreaking and mending are obviously super duper useful. This column will be fortune and silk touch. Currently, I only have silk touch. So that's what this diamond ore block represents. Once we get fortune, we'll pop him in there, maybe put a diamond or an emerald or something in to represent him. You get the general idea. So our villager system is all working pretty well at this point. Everything's looking pretty good. It's all clean. Might change some stuff aesthetically with it, but in general, it's looking pretty good. So that means that all we really have to do yet is get all of our farms up and running. That way we have plenty of stuff to trade with these guys, as well as to fuel our breeder itself, because that thing does eat up quite a lot of carrots or potatoes or whatever we want to use. So that being the case, we should probably get to our pumpkin farm, but before we do that, there is one last thing we need to do with this guy, and of course that is change his hat. So I asked you guys last time what you wanted to see on him, and surprisingly, the majority of you wanted the reindeer antler thing, which was just a random idea I had at the time. Not entirely sure how it's going to turn out. It might look a little bit derpy, but, well, let's go find out. So here is our villager for the time being. It turns out those horns are much harder to make than I thought they were going to be. I guess when I first thought of it, I was kind of envisioning more realistic looking horns that weren't so shapely. But these headband things have like really soft, cartoony looking deer horns on them, and it's a little hard to do that in Minecraft. But I think it looks okay. I think it at least conveys the idea. I may still go up there and tweak them a little bit yet, but in general, I think it'll do. I did also add in a Rudolph-style red nose because, I mean, come on now, how can you not do that with this guy? And I think it's okay. We'll see if I get used to it. I'm a little bit on the fence about whether that actually looks good or not, but I think it's funny at least. And that'll do for our villager for the time being. So now we can move on to our pumpkin and melon farm. So I've battled with this a lot since last episode, and I think the main issue is that we have the kind of high-efficiency style of melon and pumpkin farms, where they have to be in this big grid of stems, and then you have to have this big old block of redstone on top, all kinds of stuff like that. And it's really hard to deviate both from that style of design if you want high efficiency, and it's also really hard to make that look good, right? As is usually the case with high-efficiency stuff, I suppose. But it's hard to make the farm itself look interesting. You can use nice-looking blocks and make it look okay, but the farm itself still looks kind of weird. So I think that what we're going to end up doing with that is building a pretty standard style of pumpkin and melon farm, but we're going to build it a little bit lower, and probably like a couple layers of it, and then we're going to encase the entire thing in a huge floating island. So we're never going to see the farm itself directly. We're just going to see a big old chunk of land floating here. And then we're going to build something on top of that to kind of indicate that this is a pumpkin and melon farm, right? So I think that that's going to be the best route to go. It should look interesting, probably a little too interesting, realistically, with the idea that I have for it. But I guess that's kind of the whole mantra of this place, right? We've got a giant villager, we've got space-age mob farms, we've got a giant fish, all kinds of stuff. So I think it'll be right at home here. It should be kind of cool when it turns out, but I think the first step of this process is going to be to build the pumpkin and melon farm itself, and then to build the island around it. So I'm going to go and get to that, and, well, we'll see how it turns out. Alright, so here is our island so far. Unfortunately, the replay mod recording of building the island and the farms that are already inside of it got corrupted, and I cannot recover it. Kind of a bummer, though that's also kind of the mantra of this episode. Everything seems to be going wrong for me. But, well, here's where we're at so far. Now, obviously, the island itself looks a little bit iffy yet. It's very bland. There's no extra materials or anything in it, and there's also some spots, like right here, that are really kind of blocky looking. That's mostly due to poor planning, and I'll have to fix all of that, but that's also probably going to be a very tedious process. So I'll try and take care of that probably in between videos. For right now, though, I think it'll do just fine. So, with our island in place and the redstone inside of it, as you can see if we head over here, we do technically have a functioning pumpkin and melon farm. Now, obviously, this thing's been left to grow for a little while, so we've got quite a bit backed up. Navigating down here is not great. There's also a second layer down here that's a little bit smaller, and it seems to work pretty dang well, honestly. Now, there is one part still missing, and that is the bit that's going to control the minecart that's going to kind of break everything and pick all the blocks up. All I really need to do for that is make an unloading station that kind of launches the cart back automatically. So that shouldn't be too complicated. The main reason I haven't done that yet is that I don't have anywhere to send the melons and pumpkins. And until I build that area, well, it's going to be a little bit iffy to create the actual unloading system, because we need to send pumpkins and melons in a very specific way. So just for the sake of demonstration, let's go ahead and pop a minecart on here and see how the farm works. So he's going to loop around. He's going to start triggering all of these pistons. If I could get a good spot. There we go. And it's just going to kind of go back and forth, break everything as it goes. And then once it goes down to the next layer, it will pick all of this stuff up. Now, obviously, as this is going, you can already see a couple melons and pumpkins are already growing back. This farm is insanely quick. And it could technically be quicker, but for the sake of being able to turn the farm off and control it, and kind of work the way I want it to, I think that this is the best way to go. So that's going to keep doing its thing. Hopefully the minecart, let's see. I don't know how to get a good angle on this. Is this going to lead outside? Yes, of course it is. Well, the minecart should be down below now. I can't get down there. There it is. So now this minecart's going around, picking up all of the items that it broke off up here. And there's tons of melons and pumpkins growing back in already. Mostly melons, coincidentally. But you can see the items disappearing. That's taking care of that. And then it's going to finish this loop. It's going to come down here. It's obviously breaking this stuff as it's collecting up there. Then it's going to come down to this bottom level, pick everything up, and then it's going to go back up top. And obviously we'll lead this to an unloading system, and then we'll go from there. So there goes those items being picked up. And now, if we head back up here, the minecart should pop up right here. And obviously we can take that and do whatever we want with it. And because we let this linger for a while, it got completely full on melons. It probably didn't pick up quite a few of them, though we did get almost a stack of pumpkins out of that. And like I said before, all we really have to do at this point is auto unload the items and then send the minecart back through. We just need to send it to this rail over here and it'll be good to go. And obviously we can do that pretty quickly because look how much it's already grown again. So the farm itself is working pretty well, but we still need something to house all of these drops that we're going to be getting from the farm. And obviously there's not much room to do that down below, and there's plenty of room up here on top of this island. In fact, that's why this island is so big. because the farms don't need to be as big as they are. I could, and actually very likely will, shrink them for the sake of being able to reshape the farm a little bit easier. But the surface of the island did need to be relatively large, because the thing that we're going to build on top here is, well, kind of large itself. And we're going to use that build to house all of our drops from our pumpkin and melon farms. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that, and hopefully not get a corrupted replay mod recording out of it. And I'll be back to you guys once we have that build done, and we're ready to kind of hook everything up together. So here is our new pumpkin and melon farm structure thing, and I think that turned out pretty cool. I definitely like the idea of it. We may still be tweaking it a little bit here and there. For example, the bottom of the island, as I said before, definitely needs to change. That was kind of thrown together and, ouch, I definitely want that to look better than it currently does. So I'll be doing that at some point. I may have to expand the island a little bit, maybe a few blocks in each direction in order to get that shape just how I want it, but we'll see how it goes. For right now, though, I think the rest of the island is looking pretty good. So, obviously we have a giant pumpkin going on. I think it's okay looking, other than the little holes that I had to poke for lighting, which is definitely a concern with this area. I actually spent a considerable amount of time, like at least an hour, I think, running around this island and trying to get every single block above 7, because the last thing we want is spawnable spaces in this place. Keep in mind, we are going to be AFKing here for melons and pumpkins, and we're going to be AFKing over there for our villagers, and over here for other farms and stuff like that, like our crop farms and our sugarcane farms when we eventually build them. And the last thing we want is a creeper to spawn on the pumpkin and wander over and blow up all kinds of complicated redstone or something like that, right? So, I spent a lot of time. I'm hoping that I got every single block, but let's be honest, there's probably 1-7 somewhere, and that 1-7 is going to spawn a creeper that's going to come and ruin my day. So, hopefully that never happens, but, well, only time will tell, I guess. Other than that, though, I think the place is looking pretty good. The stem could probably use a little bit of tweaking, but I like it. It's a little hard to tell what's going on when you're up close because it does this, like, swirly thing. But from a distance, it looks really cool. Not that we'll ever really see it from a distance. But I like the idea, at least. And, yeah. So that's our pumpkin farm structure and everything. Be sure to tell me if you guys have any other ideas of things we should do with it, other than, like, small tweaks and stuff, because I will probably still be doing that. But as for the inside of it, well, there's not a lot going on just yet. So basically the idea is that inside of this pumpkin is going to be a storage system for all of the pumpkins and melons that we get from down below. And I still have to work that out. I'm still not sure how that's going to happen. In fact, I don't even know how this pumpkin lines up with the area that our minecart ends up in down below. So that'll be interesting. I'm not entirely sure if there's going to be a kind of a good way to get the items up here or not. We'll see. I'll have to go and work on that. So I'm going to go and try and figure all of that stuff out and hopefully get a basic storage room kind of going on up here. And if I can manage that, or even if I can't, I suppose, I'll be back with you guys in just a second to show you where I'm at. Okay, so I've put together a kind of temporary interior for our pumpkin and melon farm. Obviously, it's pretty drab in here at the moment, and I definitely wanted to do more with it, and I still intend to. Unfortunately, I am just way beyond out of time for today, so that's kind of a bummer. The redstone to get all of this working and get our sorting system going was a little bit more cumbersome than I was hoping it was going to be. So I'm not entirely sure if we can get a good view of it at this point, because things down here are kind of unpleasant. But it turns out that cramming an unloading station and a kind of item elevator and whatnot into this area was a little bit tricky. I went through several different designs and I came up with so many cool solutions for it, but every single thing I tried, there was always just one little piece of redstone somewhere just throwing everything off. And it really, really sucked. Eventually I got it working though, hopefully. I still haven't actually tested it yet. So let's go ahead and give a minecart the old launch. Now, I still haven't made an on-off switch. I need to find a good place for that and then kind of stick that in somewhere. But other than that, I think our system should be fully up and running. So our minecart should now permanently be on its way. I'm still not sure if the unloading system is going to be sufficient or not, because it is just a hopper chain. It's not particularly quick. So, and I mean, this guy picks up so many items, right? So we're going to see how it goes. It might get a little bit backed up when the farm has been left off like this, but it should catch up, I assume, because hoppers aren't too terribly slow normally. So I'm hoping that'll catch up. I'm hoping it won't be too bad, but, well, I guess we'll see how it goes. Little nervous. Worst case scenario, I'll just have to try and figure out something a little bit more robust with that system, and, well, we'll go from there if I need to do it. I may still be resizing this farm anyway, which would give me a little bit more space to work with over there, and that would make that easier. So we'll see how all of that goes. So where's our minecart at? It's going to go back and forth. Should be going relatively quick. So we can head back up to our room and see if the storage system is going to sort things out properly and whatnot. Still haven't tested that either. But the basic idea is that on one side we should get pumpkins, which I believe is the left side, and then the right side we should get melons. Yep. Looks like it's working. And because we separate them down below, we just have to put hoppers behind these chests, and it should all sort in. Yep. So that's good. Now once we get all of our pumpkins sent through, then the melons will start sending, which shouldn't be too much longer. I don't think we could have gotten more than a stack of pumpkins. Yep, there go our melons. Everything seems to be working, so that's good news. Now, all that's really left to do is reshape the bottom of the island and do something with this room here, and then our pumpkin and melon farm is pretty much done. So I'll try and take care of that stuff probably off camera or maybe very briefly in another episode. I definitely don't want to spend too much time here in the future. We have tons of other stuff that we need to do, even just up here in this area. We have our crop farms that we need to put in and a sugarcane farm and possibly some other stuff. I did just realize there's some other problems with this area too that I didn't take into account. As I mentioned earlier, I did want to have quick load systems in all of our farms here to make trading quicker, so I want somewhere where I can pop in a shulker box to fill up on pumpkins and melons. Though melons also have the other step that we need to kind of craft them before we can trade them. So that's another thing I have to consider. I may have to make a separate crafting station somewhere else, because I don't think we're going to have enough space to do all of that. But I'll see what we can do. Even the shulker box quick load might be a little bit tricky given the space constraints, because this floor is only 1 block thick. May have to raise our chests up a little bit. That'll be fine, though. We got plenty of space vertically. So, well, I'll deal with that later on, as I said. Probably off camera, maybe in another episode very briefly. Not entirely sure. For today, though, I need to get going. I'm already behind on this episode, and You wouldn't think this one's been too bad. You know, like, it doesn't seem like it would have been a particularly difficult one, but for some reason, every single step of the way was challenging me, so a little behind at the moment. But I think it turned out okay. I think that our pumpkin and melon farm worked out and is kind of interesting looking at the very least. Be sure to tell me what you guys think of that build and anything we can change with it. Ouch. Let's go ahead and get a vertical view of it, even though it's raining. Definitely looks cooler from a distance, I feel. So, yeah, that's going to do it for today. I hope you guys... Oh, can we make it through the loop? Aw, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video and our crazy pumpkin project. And I will see you guys next time. Hopefully. Thanks for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. And I'll see you guys next time.